the stuff I've uncovered about my hometown, Penrose, Colorado. For those of you who don't know, it's this tiny place, technically not even a town, surrounded by mountains and a wide open sky that honestly, if you're just driving through, looks like a postcard. But underneath, there's this dark, ugly side that nobody really wants to admit. So, there was this woman, Virginia Giuffre. You might know her from that huge international sex trafficking case. Jeffrey Epstein might ring a bell. What breaks my heart is that she lived right here in Fremont County during the worst parts of her story. If she thought this town was a safe or fair place to find justice, she was wrong. Penrose is a tiny town, at least at the time she lived here, of less than 4,000, smacked in the middle of what they call Prison Valley, because there's about a dozen, if not more, prisons in our county, including the Supermax, where the country locks up its scariest criminals. On paper, this place is the justice capital of the Mountain West. But on paper is where it ends. Back in January of 2015, Virginia was trying to live a normal life with her kids. Even though she was in the middle of this huge federal lawsuit that exploded in the news, the media followed her everywhere, even to Walmart. That's crazy because in this town, strangers get noticed and most of the time confronted. Then her house started getting messed with. Doors, including deadbolts and barricaded sliding doors, were unlocked. The dog was let out mysteriously. Nothing stolen, nothing broken, just open doors. It wasn't a break-in, it was a warning. Like someone was trying to scare her. But the police, they didn't do much. They just told her to get cameras. And those cases went inactive. No suspects, no follow-up. And meanwhile, the police department itself was falling apart. Years earlier, a teenage girl was murdered. And the case went nowhere. Then in 2016, someone bought a storage locker at auction and found bloodied, murdered evidence inside, belonging to a detective. The same detective involved with Virginia's case. He got convicted of messing with evidence, but only served 15 days. That's not justice. There were deputies arrested for tampering with evidence, deputies put on leave, and the sheriff eventually resigned. So how could anyone trust them to protect Virginia? And the worst part? 2 months after those unlocked doors, Virginia called 911 3 times, but hung up each time when deputies arrived. They found her husband had scratched up her face and bruised her body. He had punched her, choked her, and at one point put a gun in his mouth and tried to make her pull the trigger. Her kids were home the entire time. It's heartbreaking and terrifying. He got arrested and pleaded guilty to the domestic violence, but got probation. And the gun was returned to Virginia a few months later. So here's this woman fighting one of the biggest battles of her life, and she's not even safe inside of her own home. And the system barely responded. If they had done their jobs If the police had taken the threat seriously, which her lawyer even called them and told them to take this seriously, if they had followed up on the domestic violence, maybe things would have been different. But they didn't. Virginia kept fighting on the world stage for years. Then in 2025, she died in Australia. Her family said it was a suicide. She spent her whole life fighting powerful people and never getting the justice she deserved. Her memoir came out after she died, sharing her story from Florida, Australia, and those years here in Colorado. I've started digging in through official records, anything I could find, to see what really happened here. Because small towns don't respond to shame. They respond only when someone keeps pushing. Justice doesn't just fail with famous people or under bright lights. It fails quietly in places like mine. It fails where people get ignored, where their voices get stamped inactive. In January of 2015, Virginia told a deputy she felt someone was trying to scare her into silence. The file got a number and then was marked inactive. Her voice doesn't have to be silent. That's why I'm telling you this, because someone has to listen.